CorelDRAW Tips and Tricks with Steve Spence. Today's session, Fitting Text to a Path, brought to you by Conde Systems. In this session, we'll look at fitting text to a path. You can put text to circles, ovals, odd shapes, put them at the top, put it at the bottom, do all kinds of things. Let's look at, just for fun, one example. Here we have a baseline that is nothing more than just a line drawn on the screen and the word choo-choo. Let's select the word choo-choo, go to text, fit text to path. Now we're going to come down here and click on the line. We can click a little ways from the line, and now we can actually make it choo-choo anywhere we want. Up away from the line, down below from the line, or on the line. Using the little red dot, that is little diamond actually, that is at the head of the text, we can position it wherever we want. Now let's do some for real life. Let's start with doing an oval. We'll zoom in here on this oval and the words Conde Support Team. Perhaps we're doing a plaque and want to create a logo for them, something of that nature. And we're going to select the text. We will go to Text, Fit to Path, and then just come down with our cursor until it gets on the path, and it'll automatically show us what it's trying to do. And as you can see, we can go up or down, determining whether we put the descenders above or below the line. We can move as far as we want, or we can even go inside the line if we want to. So we're going to put it right there. And now we've put text to an oval. Simple as that. Okay? But it gets a little more complicated. Let's move over to putting it on a circle, and you'll see what I mean. Here we have the same text, and we're going to do exactly the same thing, except this time we're going to put it on a circle. Really doesn't matter what it is, circle, oval, square, it doesn't really matter. And we're going to just bring our cursor down, and we're going to move it until we get that red line right in the center. That tells us that it is centered on the circle. If you want to move it off center, you can, of course, but that's centered on the circle. Now we can do several things with it using what we have up here. We can, for instance, change the way it looks on the screen, and these I generally find to be unacceptable. That one might not be too bad if you want to put some motion with the text, but generally just the regular one is what I always use. Now, that's easy enough, but let's decide that we want to remove the circle. We don't want the circle to really show up. Now, we could go over and just tell it to be invisible, but for whatever reason, we don't want it to be invisible, but we want to get rid of the circle. So we select the circle with our cursor and hit delete, right? Wrong. Everything goes away. So let's undo it and bring it back. Now here's the secret. Select it, and you'll notice that when you select the text, you also select the circle. And let's go to Arrange, Break Text Apart. The circle thinks it's part of the text, and so we're going to click on Text, Break Text Apart, and now we have two separate items. The text, as you can see, and the circle. So we have two separate objects, and we can do anything we want to with them. Now, let's go back to where we were. Let's put our text back on the circle. Text, fit text to path, and there it is. Now, in this particular case, we want to put some text on the bottom of the circle. So we grab that text and we say text, fit text to path, and we get it, but it's upside down. Now take note, in some earlier versions, you must break the text apart before it will even find the circle. But in this version of Corel, we can do multiple text to the same object. But you notice that it is upside down and backwards. Besides that, what's the problem? Well, let's go up here at the top where it says mirror text. Whoops. Well, that turned it around, but it's still upside down. If we click the next one, which is mirror vertically, you can see that, oh, well, we can read it now at least. And in that case, we put it inside the circle. Let's decide that we want it on the outside of the circle. And so we can move it. It's easy, right? If you want to, you can use these little arrows to move it manually. That goes left and right. This one goes up and down. All right, but we've got a problem. This shows up in some fonts more than it does others, but the spacing in this is just kind of weird. It's too close together. If we look at the top and the spacing there and then look at the bottom spacing is just too close. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to select Mobile, Alabama, and then we're going to go to the Shape tool. And when we do the Shape tool, we're going to get these two arrows. Now this one over here on the left-hand side really won't do anything to help us, but this one will. And it will allow us, with a click and a drag, to actually add space between the letters so that they match what's at the top. Okay? So now that we have done that, and we have these items all connected, we still need to go to Arrange, Break Compound Object of 3 Elements Apart. Well, actually, it's just breaking text apart. So now we can take the circle away, or we can do whatever we want to with it. Okay? Now let's go to a square. Why would you ever want to put text around a square? Well, there actually is a reason. Let's take this text that says, where round and round she goes and where she stops nobody knows, and let's put that to text. We've selected the text, fit text to path, and we'll move it over here on the line, and there you go. Literally, round and round she goes, where she stops nobody knows. And you can play with this a little bit, and as you do, you can move it in, you can put it inside the circle, you can put it outside, you can put additional space on it. And if we do that, we can move it so that it meets up, so that it goes completely around the square, and then you can position it wherever you want. If you want to get rid of the box, guess what? You have to go to Arrange. Oops. I'm going to have to select it first. Select it, Arrange, Break Text Apart, and now your box can be removed. So, what sometimes is very complicated is really simple when you know the tricks. All you have to remember is, 1, break text apart to get it away from that circle or outline or whatever it is you're doing. And then remember that once you do that, you really can't go back and edit the text. You can, of course, go to Text, Straighten Text, and start all over. Well, that's it for fitting text to a path. something so many people think is so very, very complicated, and really and truly, it isn't at all. I will give you one final tip. Make sure that your text is spelled correctly before you try to put it to a path, and adjust the size of your text and the font before applying it to the shape. Sometimes you can change it or make corrections after it's been applied to an arc, but most of the time you'll find that it just messes it up. So, with that, best of luck. Thanks for watching.